In a flash, the sky was filled with the gift of the information coordinating thought body from the Ihan clan trial level. This is Zhang Yi's most secretive move now. Zhang Yi will not use it easily, because it will backfire on Zhang Yi's body. For example, now, Zhang Yi's arm has been twisted. Even as a caster, with the protection of the magic armor, which has removed some of the power, the damage to his body is not light. Fortunately, Zhang Yi has been prepared. Zhou Kur's potion was injected into his arm, and the physical injury was quickly repaired. Zhang Yi turned and looked behind him. After the elf's head was taken off by him, it quickly turned into a black smoke and condensed on his neck again. He was stunned for a long time, and suddenly turned around, pointed at Zhang Yi with an extremely angry expression and said, "You?" Zhang Yi felt puzzled. "What do you mean by this expression?" The elf's voice was stuck in his throat, and he couldn't say what he was suffering in his heart. He didn't expect that Zhang Yi would suddenly end the battle between the two in such a hurry. "You are wrong to do this," he said helplessly, and the muscles on his face twitched, as if there was something unspeakable that he couldn't say. Zhang Yi shrugged. "I really don't know what you are talking about. I only know that people should be willing to admit defeat. Now that you have lost, why don't you admit it?" At this time, the phoenix in the distance explained the cause of the accident for the elf. "Human boy, did you see the armor on him?" Zhang Yi looked at the elf. The gorgeous armor was too eye-catching to ignore. "Well, I saw it, and then?" The phoenix pointed to the 2 wrist guards taken off by the elf on the ground in the distance and said, "The armor on his body is actually a limiter. Because his power is too strong, he has trouble finding an opponent to fight. So, he deliberately sealed his strength. Whenever he meets an opponent, he will remove the seals on his body one by one according to the opponent's strength." Although there was no expression on his face, there was obviously a bit of playful smile in his eyes. "He just took off 2 limiters, but he didn't expect to be killed by your ultimate move. Do you think he can accept it?" Zhang Yi just realized it at this time. "It seems that I really guessed it right." He did have this consideration in his mind, because every time the elf took off a wristband, his strength would be greatly increased. But out of caution, he did not completely trust this guess. After all, how could there be such a boring person in this world? But, hey, he saw it today. "Shut up." The elf roared at the phoenix angrily. But it was obvious that what the phoenix said was true. Arrogance made him lose in the fight with Zhang Yi. It was true that he was unwilling to accept it, but his pride would not allow him to deny it. The elf stared at Zhang Yi, grinding his teeth, making a clucking sound. "I really underestimated you. You have a lot of cards hidden in your body." Zhang Yi said, "How about it? This battle should be considered my victory." The sound of the elf's teeth grinding became louder. "You are cunning. You are cunning, but not strong." He admitted that he lost this battle, but not because of his strength, but because his opponent was too cunning. But he took a deep breath and stared at Zhang Yi. "You are indeed a very interesting guy. Maybe you really can do what we didn't do at the beginning." Zhang Yi looked at the elf and then at the other ghosts in the distance. There were still a few ghosts who hadn't come on stage, so he couldn't help asking, "So, I want to know, can I leave now? And how do I leave this damn place?" The next words of the elf made Zhang Yi frown, because the elf said, "If we know how to leave, will we still drink endless wine here?" What does this mean? Zhang Yi noticed something wrong. Doesn't it mean that this battle is meaningless? However, now that they have passed them, all they need to do is find a way out. If the time is long enough, he believes that he can find a way out. At worst, try to connect to the ether again and ask Ling how to leave here. Zhang Yi still looked at the other ghosts and said, "Is there anyone who wants to continue fighting with me? If not, I'm leaving." The crowd was silent for a while. Everyone stared at Zhang Yi. In an instant, their faces were expressionless and dark, as if they had suddenly turned into ghosts who wanted to take their lives. Zhang Yi felt a chill on his back, and a creepy breath spread from all directions, as if the night had completely enveloped this place. He looked at the elf next to him, but found that the elf had also changed his face. His eyes were dark without any luster, and he exuded black air, just staring at him quietly. The night swept in from the end of the earth in the distance. Zhang Yi stood in the middle of the death highway, and in an instant everything around him was completely enveloped by darkness. In the haze, he could still see the tavern on the side of the road emitting a faint green light and the ghosts standing in the shadows. They were staring at Zhang Yi intently. What are you planning to do? Zhang Yi swallowed his saliva, alert to everything around him, but those guys seemed to realize that they were dead and did not respond to Zhang Yi's words, just staring at him coldly in the shadows. Click, click, click. In the darkness, it seemed that something suddenly appeared, accompanied by the sound. The light of the whole world was disappearing rapidly, and the visibility around Zhang Yi was less than 10 meters. He stood in the middle of the road, and a faint light fell above him. It was an old street lamp on the side of the road, and the dim light shone on his body. Zhang Yi looked up, only to find that it was not a street lamp. It was clearly the spear of Longinus that he had inserted into the ground to seal Tyrant. Zhang Yi suddenly realized that if he wanted to survive in this place and successfully complete the task of sealing Mammon, this seal was indispensable. He stretched out his hand without hesitation. Come. The spear of Longinus seemed to be inspired by him and flew towards Zhang Yi, and was controlled by Zhang Yi using a mechanical arm. The huge spear of Longinus in his hand made Zhang Yi's fear disappear a little. But in the endless darkness, nothing could be seen. Only ghosts were wandering, and pairs of scarlet eyes were flashing, making it difficult for people to stay calm. Chapter 1949 Dragon Corpse. Unknown things can bring great fear to people. Zhang Yi no longer hid his intentions. Deng Shintong, he shouted, and the shadow on his body opened a door. Deng Shintong appeared from the shadow, holding up Tiandao Star. The dazzling light stretched out a piece of darkness. Although it was compressed very badly, it also made Zhang Yi's vision no longer so limited. Almost all the members of the combat force came out of the shadows and followed Zhang Yi, ready to fight the unknown enemy. At this moment, Zhang Yi finally saw what the thing that brought darkness was. The tavern floated up at some point, and the interior was flashing with green lights. Under it, a long and huge body was revealed. The body, composed of countless rotten corpses and bones, was hundreds of meters long, and was surrounded by a terrifying death aura. All the people Zhang Yi had seen before, their souls were now attached to this long corpse combination. Zhang Yi only took a glance and saw at least thousands of corpses. Tyrant Jedi, Phoenix, Ghostface Nun, and even Odibio's relatively fresh corpse all appeared on top of this collection. The soul-stirring pressure made Zhang Yi suddenly think of what it was. Mammon's dream clone, the Ghost Leader. The Ghost Leader guarding the Death Highway is called the Corpse Dragon. It controls the dead souls, and all the souls and corpses of the strong who died in the eyes of the devil will be collected by it. Form a monster with terrible combat power and cannot die. Kant stood beside Zhang Yi, opened his mouth wide, and said with horror, "This? So many dead, strong men. How are we going to fight?" Zhang Yi had seen less than 1% of those dead souls before. What's more, they are immortal and indestructible, and it is difficult to win by conventional means. Although Zhang Yi defeated most of the dead souls, he also directly led to the real king of this world, the Corpse Dragon. Gaga gaga. Hee hee hee. Hee 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 hee. Various weird laughters came from the sky. The huge corpse dragon hovered in the air, and a huge death aura completely enveloped it. It was hard to imagine how powerful this monster would be. The huge sense of oppression made everyone look solemn. Only Zhang Yi showed the calmness that a leader should have at this time. It's not unexpected. If you want to seal Mammon, you will inevitably fight with these ghost leaders. You will encounter them sooner or later. Then, let's fight. Kant looked at Zhang Yi in astonishment. Old Zhang, how can we fight these powerful people from all generations, and they are also immortal strong people? Let's find a way to escape as soon as possible. At this time, Yang Xinxin's voice came from the side. Kant, haven't you seen it yet? Kant looked at Yang Xinxin. Xinxin, what do you think? Yang Xinxin stared at Kant, with a faint light in her obsidian eyes. If we can't get rid of this guy here, we can't leave this death highway. Even so, How can we defeat him? Kant still felt that there was no hope of defeating this existence. Even Zhang Yi couldn't do it now. Of course I have a way. Yang Xinxin stopped looking at Kant's expression and just walked to Zhang Yi's left hand. Zhang Yi stared at the huge corpse dragon in the sky, stretched out his hand and gently drew it in the air, and then a dimensional door appeared in the world. Bang! A huge combat boot stepped on the death highway, and the earth instantly broke apart, and a thick death aura filled the surroundings. When Kant saw the released existence clearly, his pupils shrank sharply, and the others also subconsciously stepped back a few steps. Because this guy was the evil crow that Zhang Yi had sealed in the alien space before. The evil crow stood in front of Zhang Yi, with death aura all over his body, holding a huge demon-swallowing gun in his hand. There are now 8 evil crows.
It has no so-called body.
Every time it dies, it will split into twice the number, and its strength will be further improved. Kant pointed at the evil crow and was so excited that he couldn't say anything. Yang Xinxin glanced at him. What's so strange? Its weakest point is its mental strength. The crow of evil represents the military power. If it is described by the human alien, it is a person with the ability of strengthening. Moreover, now that Mammon is attacked by the 4 knights and is in a dormant state, it is also the time when its mental strength is the weakest. Therefore, Yang Xinxin controlled the crow of evil. And this is one of the reasons why Zhang Yi is not afraid of the upcoming challenges. While controlling the spear of Longinus, Zhang Yi asked Yang Xinxin to give orders to the crow of evil. Yang Xinxin pointed his finger at the corpse dragon hovering in the sky. Kill it. The dark eyes of the crow of evil lit up with a scarlet light. It raised its head and looked at the monster in the sky. Its wings spread vigorously. Suddenly, a strong wind blew, and it rode this strong wind and went straight to the corpse dragon. The corpse dragon felt the power of the enemy in front of it and started to attack in an instant. On its body, countless corpses were connected by a hose similar to a plant root. The bodies of those corpses were still moving. When it attacked, it directly controlled those corpses and used their abilities when they were alive. Colorful light and shadows exploded under the dark sky. It was a colorful energy storm, which was extremely terrifying. Even Zhang Yi frowned when he saw it. The strength of the corpse dragon can grow infinitely. As long as the more souls died under the eyes of the devil, its strength will be stronger. It is even possible that this is the most powerful leader of the Ghost Walker they have ever encountered. Fortunately, the crow of evil can also split infinitely and has the attribute of immortality. The colorful energy gathered into a terrifying storm, which suddenly fell from the end of the sky and went straight to the crow of evil. With just one blow, the devouring demon spear of the crow of evil could not withstand its powerful power and was directly blasted into pieces. But after this blow, the broken meat of the crow of evil quickly formed 2 identical crows of evil with even stronger strength. Gaga! Gaga! They were furious and regarded the corpse dragon in front of them as a mortal enemy that must be killed, and soared into the sky. Quack! From the left and the right, terrifying sound waves attacked the corpse dragon. The body of the corpse dragon circled, and the corpse on it swayed, forming a series of energy shields to resist the attack of the evil crows. But this short gap was enough for the 2 evil crows to rush forward, and then raised the devouring demon spear in their hands and chopped it down fiercely. Hualala! The corpses swayed like leaves on the tree, rustling, and a large number of corpses immediately rushed up controlled by the hose, completely surrounding the 2 evil crows. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.